All right, so here we got a problem. Says discuss the effect on solution to problem 35, which is over here. If the cost of brand C increases to $1.50 per bottle. So it looks like we're just changing the price of the bottle. So what we have to read is now 35. So it says a person on a high protein, low carb diet requires 100 units, at least 100 units of protein, and at most 24 units of carbs. The diet consists of three special liquid diet foods, A, B, and C. And the contents and cost of the bottle are given in the table. How many bottles of each brand of diet food should be consumed daily in order to meet the minimum or meet the protein and carbohydrate requirements at a minimal cost? And then what is that minimal cost? All right. So let's say that let's write in a table. Where's my writer? This is going to be X1, that's going to be X2, and that's going to be X3. So that's the bottles of A, bottles of B, bottles of C. All right. So what we need to do then is the minimum cost is going to be equal to what? Well, now remember, this is not any longer 90. We better cross that out or I'm going to write that. That's $1.50 for C. All right, so that's going to be what? 0.6 times x1 plus 0.4 times x2 plus 1.5 times x3. And we're subject to what? Well, now we're subject to all these constraints, okay? So we'll have 10x1 plus, whoa, what happened here? 10x2 plus 20x3. And that has to be greater than or equal to, because it's at least, and it has to be 100. And then it says the next one is going to be a 2x1 plus 3x2 plus 4x3 has to be less than or equal to 24. And x1, x2, x3 have to be greater and equal to 0. Okay. Now, let's convert this into our maximization problem. So again, remember max P is equal to what? Well, now we're going to convert this and it's changing all the signs because it's going to be the opposite of this. So it's equal to the opposite of min C, and that's going to be equal to what? A minus 0.6x1 minus 0.4x2 minus 1.5x3. Okay, so we're switching it from the min C to a max P by switching those. And so what we need to do then is rewrite this, and then we need to get these to be equalities now. And so I don't know where, let's write it here, I guess. So we're going to have now 10x1 plus 10x2 plus 20x3. And so this one's greater than, so now what we have to do is we have to subtract off the surplus, add the artificial, and that's going to be equal to 100. Now, because of that, then this actually is going to have a minus MA1 now because we have that A1 here. And then we have over here what a 2x1 plus a 3x2 plus a 4x3. And then after that, what we're going to do is we're going to add in our slack variable, which is S2, and that's equal to 24. Now, if we rewrite this to kind of put it how it's going to be in the table, we get what? We get a 0.6x 6x1 plus a 0.4x2 plus a 1.5x3 plus the MA1 plus a P equals 0, and then x1, x2, x3, s1, s2, a1, and I think that's all of them, is greater than or equal to 0. So that's going to be kind of my system that I'm going to use to make my preliminary table. And then from the preliminary table, I can get rid of that M in the A column, and then I can have my initial tableau. All right, so we'll make that first table, then S1 and A1 and S2 and then P. And I'm just doing it in order here. So I have S1, then A1, then S2. So even though I could do S1, S2, A1, and I'm going to do it this way just to keep in the format that I'm going in order of the equations here. All right. And so then I have what? Then I have a 10, a 10, a 20, a minus 1, a 1, a 0, a 0, and then a 100. And then I have what? A 2, a 3, a 4, a 0, a 0, and then that's a 1, and then 0, and then 24. And then I have the I guess I better put my dotted line here. I have the zero point 0.6, 0.4, 1.5, a 0. Now my M's in A column, then 0, then 1, and then 0. Again, I need to get rid of that, so I'm going to take a minus M times row, in this case 1, and then plus a row 3, and that's my new row 3. All right, so now with that said, I can make my initial tableau. So coming over here then, that gives me where's my writing? There it is. X1, X2, X3, S1, A1, S2, P. And then I'm going to have on the left, I'm going to have A1, and then I'm going to have S2, and then I'll have my P. And so this one gives me what? That's still 10, 10, 20, minus 1, 1, 0, 0, 100. And that's going to be 2, 3, 4, and then 0, 0, 1, 0, and 24. And minus m times that plus that. It's going to be, that's going to be a minus 10m plus what? 0 0.6. This one's going to be 10, minus 10m plus 0 0.4. That's going to be a minus 20m plus 1.5. And then it's going to be what? An m. That's going to be a 0, a 0, a 1. And that's going to be minus 100m. Okay. And remember, we're doing it off of that row here. All right, so the biggest one happens to be, well, now it's times 20, so that one's going to be the biggest negative number. Okay, so now my quotient is going to be what? 100 divided by, it looks like 20. So that's going to be what? 5. And here I'm going to have 24 divided by, and that's a 4. So that's going to be a 6. So my smallest number is that one. So I'm pivoting here. So this is going to enter. This one's going to exit. And I'm going to say, let's see, what do I want to do here? Maybe if I take that and just do 1/20th of row 1, make that my new row 1, that would work. And if I take this, do I want to do it in this step or do I want to do it next step? Let's do it in the next step and we'll just do that first and then it'll be easier, I think. All right, so and we're not pivoting yet, so this is still x1, x2, x3, s1, a1, s2, p. And so this is still a1, s2, p at this point in time because I haven't pivoted. I'm just dividing that row. And so that becomes what? A half. Doesn't look like a half, but that's a half. Then a 1 minus 1/20th, 1/20th, 0, 0, and then a 5, and then a 2, 3, 4, 0, 0, 1, 0, 24, and then a minus 10m plus zero point 0.6. Then we have a minus 10m plus zero point 0.4. And then we have a minus 20m plus 1.5. And we have an m, a 0, a 0, a 1, and then that minus 100m. And again, I'm pivoting here. So now I'm going to take minus 4 row 1 plus row 2 is my new row 2. And now it's going to be easier because now I can just say, okay, well, I'm going to take what 20m minus 1.5 times row 1 plus row 3. That's my new row 3. And so it makes it a little bit easier. And so now I can do that. So at this point, these are really going to enter, and this is really going to exit. All right, so coming across the next line. Oh, now we have what? We have X1, X2, X3, S1, oops, that's A1, not S2, because I'm putting it in a different order here. A1, S2, P, and which one did I say came in? X3. And so that's X3, S2P. All right, so first row stays the same. And that was a 5. And the next row, that was going to be a 0. That becomes a 1, a 0. 1/5 minus 1/5, 1, 0, and that's just a 4. Then that 20 in my set, so it's going to be a minus 0.15, minus 0.35, 0, 0.075, and minus 0.075, 0, 1. And that looks to be what, a 7.5. All right. So the biggest negative now looks to be this one. All right, so hopefully it's this one that's coming in. Let's see. For a quotient, we're gonna have 5 divided by half. That's gonna be what, 10. And here we have 4 divided by 1, which is 4. So that one's gonna be the smallest. So we don't have to do much here. We're just going to take minus 1/2 row 2 plus row 1. It's my new row 1. And I'm going to take a 0.35 times row 2 plus row 3. And that's my new row 3. Okay. And so this one enters and this one exits. And so now I have x1, x2, x3, s1, a1, s2, p, and we have now x3, x2, p. All right, so first row doesn't do much except for a half of that plus that, so it's gonna be what? It's gonna be half. That's gonna be a 0. It's gonna be a 1. Minus 3/10, I think. And that's a 20, not a 10. And then that's going to be a 3/20. That's going to be a minus 1/2, a 0. And that's going to be 3. Okay. And that stays the same 0, 1, 0, 1/5, minus 1/5, 1, 0, and then 4. All right. Now what we have is this row. And so now this one that becomes still the same, negative 0.15. That becomes 0. That's still 0. That's going to be 0.145. M minus 0.145, 0.35, 1, and 6.1, and it's going to be a negative actually now. That's actually a negative up here too. Why did I have a positive? Because it's minus that plus that, so that's a negative there. All right, so now what do we have? Now the biggest negative looks to be that first one. Can't be this one, so that has to be that. So that's going to enter. That one's going to exit now. All right, so now I'm going to take what? 2 times row 1, and that's going to be my new row 1. And if I take this one, if I take it times 0.3 times row 1 plus row 3, that's going to be my new row 3. All right, so because that's zero point 0.5 times zero point 0.3, that's going to be 0.15. And so now we have, all right, so now we have x1, x2, x3, and then we have s1, a1, s2, p. And now we had x1 coming in, x2 still there, piece there. All right, so now we took 2 times that, so that's going to be a 1, a 0, a 2, a minus 3/10, positive 3/10, a minus 1, a 0 times 2 is 6. That's still 0, 1, 0, 1/5, minus 1/5, 1, 0, and a 4. That one better be 0, 0. Now that's going to be what? A 0.3. And that's going to be a 0.1. And minus zero point 0.1. 0.2. 1. Negative 5.2. All right. So I think that's it. Now, guess what? Those are all positive, and so we stop. And so now what do we have? Now remember, what we have is that's going to be the opposite because we over here, wherever that was, max P, which is what we just did, is going to be the opposite of this. So it's going to be mean, and then minus this is going to be C, min C is equal to the opposite of this, which is 5.2. Okay. Now, what is that? That's the cost, so we better put that as a dollar. And then we have what x1 is equal to 6. So we have x1 equals 6 bottles, and x1 was A. X2 is equal to what? Well, that's going to be 4 bottles, and that was B. X3 is 0, so that's 0 bottles of C. Okay. And so that's going to be our solution to this one. All right, so let's stop there and come back for another one.